Y'all heard that? Stop playing. What's good, good people? And welcome to It's Just Not Add Up. So there seems to be a little confusion about what the message is, and I think now is a good time to talk about it. Coming out is not a prerequisite for living and communicating your truth. Let me be clear in my advice. My advice is to be yourself. In language, in activity, in expression, in behavior, in life, just be yourself. I've been asked a lot during this series, like, I want to come out and so I can be myself. I just want to come out. And it's like, that's not a prerequisite. Be yourself. Let other people adjust. You do you, but just start being yourself. You don't have to come out to start looking for love and finding friendship and going to places that may be queer dominated. Listen, you do not have to do that. Okay, it's just us, right? Let's really talk about this. Being gay is different, yes, but that does not mean that you cannot enjoy the same luxuries that other groups of people enjoy. And as much as we act like sexuality doesn't come up, it does. And that even enemies the idea of having to come out, right? Like, honestly, I don't even know when I came out. I was already out before I did this series, you know what I mean? It was just, I wanted to start talking about queer topics, but I had already been out. I was already doing me. I was already going places I wanted to go, hanging with who I wanted to hang with, like, doing the things. If you knew, you knew, and if you didn't, you didn't. But it wasn't anything I consciously hid. I wasn't, I had already done all that stuff. You know what I mean? I was already at the point where I was, if I saw a guy I thought was attractive, I said it. If I had a date with a guy, I used specific pronouns. I was very I was already out, And I'm saying this to say that we do not have to be ambiguous in our pronouns when discussing guys. We do not have to only deem PDA for straight couples and all these other things that we have kind of decided that are not okay for queer people to do. This may be hard to hear, but a lot of what makes us feel the need to come out is our circle. Like a lot of what, perpetuates this idea that we have to make this declaration to people and tell our family members or our sister or our brother or our friends or these people is so that they can figure out a way to digest who we are. Because simply just coming to them and saying I'm going on a date with a guy is not enough. You can't just say that, because now you have to make sure that you now tell them what label you decided and now tell them that what this means, and they have to now digest it and figure out how to handle you and all these other factors. And so it becomes this very heavy situation, but it's not a byproduct of you, it's a byproduct of people who don't understand. And I know that, listen, there's the people who are doing things. I'm trying to be one of those people myself, right? But it is not your duty to explain and define and whatever. It is up to you to be you. I've said this before, but sexuality is not a jacket, and it shouldn't be. You don't have to take it on and take it off. You are able to carry it wherever you go. I think people in general are just used to us suppressing ourselves for their comfort. And that's really what a lot of the discomfort and a lot of the hate speech kind of comes from, right? I thought that gay people stayed over there, and so the fact that you are over here, how did you get here? And that you are here, how are you here and still being gay? Then you read the rubric, you're supposed to stop being gay around me because I'm not. And so that's kind of more so where it is, and that's not how it goes. It's not fair. And because we know that, we find ourselves watering down our full selves around people, right? We say, okay, well, in this space, I'm not going to do this, wear this, say this, and all those things. So then it becomes, again, this jacket that we're taking on and taking off. And it becomes this whole, if you get in the habit of being yourself in very specific spaces, it's very hard to be yourself throughout. And then you look up and you don't have the life that you wanted because you had spent most of your life trying to make other people comfortable digesting who you are. I think the shift is going to come when we start to really iron out what heteronormative truly is, right? I think we've taken heteronormative and made it so that we can't do anything that straight people do. And it's I think what really is being yourself. It's not about following heteronormative or following what's homonormative. None of those things matter. What matters is you being your authentic self. If that happens to be masculinity and people don't know that you're queer on the spectrum, fine. If that's effeminate behavior, fine. If that's somewhere in between, fine. If that's whatever that may look like, you know what I mean? But I don't want people to feel like I have to, fit this straight quota when I'm around them and fit this gay quota when I'm in these spaces. It's not about that. It's about you being your full self. It's really not even about a label. I'm gay, but it's not about you deciding that you are. About you figuring out who you want to love, how you want to love yourself, and doing that fully. I'm reading this book called Giovanni's Room that my friend Nana put me on to. It's by James Baldwin. And one of the first chapters or second chapters, he says this quote. He says, Nothing is more unbearable once one has it than freedom. I think we think of freedom as this very like, free space and this, I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. And it's like, I heard that, stop playing. But freedom for a queer person can sometimes feel confining, you know what I mean? Because all spaces don't really set aside room for you to be in that freedom in those spaces, if that makes any sense. And not just spaces, people. You find yourself kind of figuring out what loneliness versus being by yourself really is, right? Because again, like when you are in your truth and you don't want to take breaks and you don't want to pause it for this person or pause it for that person, coming into that truth is you're going to lose some people. I think we don't talk about that enough. You're going to lose some people, and some people need to lose you. That's really what it is, right? Some people need to get about your life. And some people are going to be family. And it's going to be difficult. Some people are going to be your close friends, and that's difficult. But they're not going to be true supporters and advantageous on this journey to find who you are. And the journey itself is the freedom space. Because I don't know if the journey ever ends, right? But the journey to self is the freedom. And on that journey, if you're constantly being, told or you're constantly hearing or all this stuff that's not necessary to where you're going, it's going to hinder you in a real way. And you're going to find yourself in these same cycles of, am I enough? Am I good enough? Should I pretend to be? Do I need to be? Where can I go? Who is my community? I don't want to go over there. Blah, 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 all these different things. So my ask of you today, honestly, is to let some of that judgment go. Stop judging yourself so much. Stop internalizing the judgment of other people and allow yourself to live more freely. Express yourself how you choose, whether that's in behavior, whether that's in the way that you actually dress, like whatever that is. So my ask of you today is to let some of that judgment go. Allow yourself to move about more freely. Like just do you. I can't stress that enough. Do you. Focus on labels later. Focus on the things later. Focus on being your authentic self and focus on leaning into that fully. When you find yourself wanting to take a break, don't. When you find yourself about to suppress self, don't. And you'll wake up one day and find yourself comfortable. You'll wake up and be like, oh, wait a minute, did I just grab dude's hand in public? Was I in the barbershop and I said him referring to a dude? Was I on the phone with my dad and talking to my dude at the same, like whatever that thing is, you'll find yourself just interacting with comfort more because you're in yourself more because you allowed yourself to lean into freedom. And that in itself is liberating. I'm always talking about that, but that in itself is liberating. Don't allow other people to dictate the spaces in which you can be in. Like you create that space. Keep creating space. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.